One of the things about the fall, according to the tradition of the church, is that our passions began to rule over our intellect and will, and this caused a real disorder within man and woman, a real rupture in our very being. This is the common experience of all men and women who seek to do what's right, and they find themselves doing what is wrong. They are overpowered by their passions, which causes their intellect and will to be held captive. For when one's anger arises, it's easy to throw hateful words around or even attack somebody. When envy arises in one's soul, it's easy to tear someone down with gossip or hate them because of something they have and we don't. When lust arises, it's easy to forget sexuality has a proper place in holy matrimony between a man and a woman or holy purity. When slothfulness arises, it's easy to lose sight of our need to steady our hands at work. And when pride arises, it's easy to forget that we can't save ourselves by our own excellence, and we need to follow God's commandments, and we need Christ's sacrifice. For all of our powers, our intellect, will, and passions are rooted in the soul, so that when our passions arise, it draws our other faculties, our intellect and will, into the operation it desires. And this is why all the saints speak about dying to their passions, in order that their intellect and will may govern their life according to what is objectively good, true, and just. And one of the interesting parts about the passions is they bind us to a particular action or thing. In this way, they only consider the part, not the whole of reality. And this is why if one is governed by them, they suffer from many delusions and distortions in their life, and why a good psychologist today will mention, do not follow your passions, but do what you want in your life. For the emphasis is on the intellect and the will of the human person. For example, when one undergoes the passion of hunger, gluttony is always at the door. And the appetite sometimes overrules the reason and will, and we eat too much anyway. This means that the universal consideration of whether something's good or bad sometimes goes out the window when our passions arise. For our passions do not consider what is right and wrong, they just arise for good or ill. The consideration of right and wrong is an operation of the intellect, and the changed course lies in the will. But in order to conquer our passions in a healthy way, we need grace. In other words, we need to be humble before God, recognizing we need his help. And one of the ways to do this is every time you do the right thing, when your passions arise or when you change course, if they're ill-directed, or steady the course if they're in a good direction, is to give credit to God, the angels, and the saints who helped you seek to do the good and gave you the strength to do it.